We got to talk about Tim Pool today, who I'm sure you guys have basically all heard of Tim Pool, big conservative influencer or whatever you want to call it, okay? He's been caught in a little bit of controversy, and I put that in air quotations because I personally don't really consider it controversy, but I'm gonna address it and give my take on it today. So, with that being said, Tim Pool made some statements about the Carmelo Anthony situation, you know, the stabbing that happened at the track meet, and I'll play the clip here right now. So, with that being said, let's dive in.
For one where he says, what is it? Nothing matters but this. He was at a school event at the wrong team's tent with a knife. He clearly chose murder than to walk away, cut and dry here. Nope, wrong. Imagine you are invited to a party at someone else's house and you are legally carrying a firearm. And then a fight breaks out and or like an altercation breaks out between you and some guy and, you know, there's drinking involved or whatever. I'm not trying to make a one-for-one scenario. I'm trying to create a potential scenario separate from this one with similarities. You go to a party. Let's say you go to a party. And some guy starts saying stuff like, yo, man, get out of here. And you're like, I can do what I want. I was invited to the party. Verbal altercation escalates. And then the dude, you're sitting there and you pull your sweater back and you've got a gun. You put your hand up and say, don't come close to me, bro. I'm warning you right now. Do not come close. Do not take another step. Then the guy grabs your arm and makes a move. So you draw your weapon and you use it. Okay, make the argument. You have no right to defend yourself when you're being attacked by a guy. Make the argument. By all means, go ahead and do so. I ain't going to do it. I don't know the circumstances. You can argue that you're in a place you're not supposed to be. You can argue it's that guy's house, and it doesn't matter. A guy can invite you into your neighbor could be like, come on over, brother. And then if he gets physical with you, you can defend yourself. And then what? The police are going to be like, well, you were in his house. And it's like, yeah, you invited me in. It's like, I was at the door.
All right. So I obviously disagree with Tim. And you can't, I feel like you can't use that analogy because the guy was at a track meet. He wasn't at a party or at someone's home or even like, someone's establishment, someone's business. You're at a track meet. You're at a school event to run track, to run. Why are you carrying a knife with you? And he's received some backlash and, you know, I guess he posted this. I don't care about conservative tribal outrage. And listen, I don't think people should be outraged personally. We just have a difference of opinion, and that's fine. Like I said, I completely disagree with him. I don't think that makes any type of sense, and I personally think the kid should go to jail. You know, should he rot in prison for the rest of his life? Probably not. In my humble opinion, you know, he's a young kid who obviously has been led the wrong way, in my personal opinion, and made a instant decision that will forever change his life and obviously somebody else's life as well. And I don't want to diminish what happened to Austin Metcalf either, right? The man lost his life, but I don't think, you know, Carmelo should rot in prison the rest of it. Should he go to jail for a long time? Absolutely. But better yet, I want to play this clip of Charleston White, who I don't even know what Charleston White is, a comedian, activist, community activist. I don't even know what you would title Charleston White as, but one thing that he often is a truth teller, and that is exactly what he does in this clip here. So with that being said, take it away, Charleston White.
Austin Metcalf, you see the boy in Frisco stabbed to death by Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah, my heart goes out to the family. They trying to make this a race issue, and this is a right or wrong issue.
Okay. So no, real quick, I like where you're going on this because I'm not even trying to race bait or anything. People are making this about black and white. You see that they're trying to make this kind of like a Trayvon Martin kind of, you know, they're talking about it. But where do you?
It is. Trayvon Martin was an angry black kid that had to be sent to his father because he lacked discipline. Grew up in a home with his single mother. Any well-behaved kid with manners that had respect of adults, once George Zimmerman approached him, whether he's right or wrong, as a child, this is an adult. You get off the phone with that fat-ass girlfriend you trying to fuck, you call your dad and say, hey, Dad, it's an adult around here that just stopped me. He says he's calling the police. Rather than doing that, he had an attitude because as young black males in this country, we have an authority problem because we walking around angry, displaced from our father's issues, but we resent our mothers.
That's true.
So we're a ticking time bomb. And Trayvon Martin could fight. So that's why I say you be careful approaching some of these young kids. What a 13-year-old will kick a 40-year-old's ass.
That's true.
And that's what happened in that situation. He underestimated this kid, and he was looking for trouble. But by law, He was right. And he was judged by his peers. So we can't say nothing once you're judged by your peers.
Well, what do you think's going to happen in this Austin Metcalf thing? You think he's
Metcalf ass go, well, no, that boy going to jail.
Carmelo Anthony's going to go to jail.
Carmelo going to jail. Because listen, you cannot bring a weapon to school.
Yeah.
So you can't say I was
what if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense because if you are afraid the day before where you have to take a weapon to school, why not notify your parents? Parents, you notify the school teacher. School teacher, let's bring these kids in here and resolve this issue. It's called conflict resolution. We was taught in homes that has morals and values, you tell the teacher. Somebody fucking with you, you tell the teacher. Let the teachers know so when y'all have an altercation, you're cleared and you're covered. Documentation beats conversation. So words of documentation just say this is self-defense. It's a premeditated crime because you took a weapon in fear. Anticipating to use it.
That was premeditated, though.
And it's at a track meet. You getting ready to run track with other kids and you got a knife on you. No, man, you got to go to jail. You got to go. So when is it all right to kill the bully? I don't give a fuck what the bully did. He don't have a right to die.
No.
Man, you weak man. That's why I say teach the kids how to deal with bullies and this won't happen. We're all not equal. Even in nature, you can be feeding a flock of birds. There's going to always be one bird to come in and take the food from the. This is nature. Yeah. You cannot get rid of bullies. Teach the kids how to deal with them. Bullies build character. You go to work, it's going to be a bully supervisor, a bully co-worker. You cannot get rid of the bully. Teach our children conflict resolution. Everything don't have to end in violence. But when you come from the black culture, everything is disputed in violence.
Yeah.
Listen, I legit couldn't say it any better. That's 100% the truth. 100% the truth. In my humble opinion, at least the way that I parent, I'm not gonna shield you from the world. That's not reality. Dad isn't gonna always be there to protect you. I'm gonna show you how to deal with it, cause stuff's gonna come your way. Somebody gonna say something crazy to you. That's life. That's life. But you need to know how to deal with it. And people crazy these days, you know? But my humble opinion, we need to teach our kids how to deal with conflict. It ain't just always, creating a huge problem or getting our feelings about something. It could, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll go the other way. Like, that don't make you weak for doing that. That actually makes you smart.
That is the problem, though.
It's the culture.
That's the culture. That's how they solve. When you have a serious issue, they don't even contemplate trying to talk it out.
We teach a no snitching rule, right? So our kids are walking around with these mafia rules, codes, and ethics of the streets that's held over children about no snitching. So now I have to take a weapon because I don't want to be a snitch and kill another kid. It's a simple solution. Don't tell the teacher. Tell your parents.
Yeah.
It's a simple solution.
I know, but
tell, motherfucker, tell.
But what sounds crazy, I know it sounds so easy, but the thing is, even for the criminal, the guy that would commit an assault, if you stop him before he does the assault, then they don't have to go to jail as long. You know what I mean?
Man, this is not that kid's first time grabbing a weapon, because most kids who grab a weapon from the first time don't kill people.
Yeah, of course. You bring a gun a couple times before you shoot it.
And if I was being bullied and I'm in self-defense, even though he have an undeveloped brain and he's impulsive, why run?
I don't know.
Why get rid of the knife? You're showing criminal intent. Why throw the knife away where they can't find? He wasn't found with the knife in his pocket. He wasn't sitting down with the knife in his hand ready to explain what happened.
Yeah. So, but do you think that he had some sort of predisposition to wanting to murder? Is that what you're saying?
No. Children don't wake up to kill because they don't have the brain capacity, the brain development to say, I want somebody dead. Children are impulsive.
Yep.
This was a tragic incident where a kid who don't have emotional intelligence acted impulsively because he comes from a culture that propagates violence. Every day, all day, kill, die, nigga, shoot, kill. You can't take this in and you lack training. You lack morals. You have to have a foundation of a value system to listen to this type of shit all day long, and you don't have no emotional intelligence where you've been taught to say, man, when you get angry, think.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. So he was anticipating this to happen.
Yeah, Charleston White was 1,000% on point. I mean, I couldn't disagree, right? Tragic situation, obviously. My condolences to the Metcalf family. Really, two families lost their child. You know, obviously the Metcalf family literally lost their child, but then, you know, the Anthony family lost their child's freedom. You know, their child lost, you know, his freedom potentially. We'll see how the court case plays out. I'm not gonna act like I'm some type of scholar on any of this stuff, but a lot to learn from this. A lot to learn. We need to make sure we teach our kids emotional intelligence, obviously, not being impulsive, you know, conflict resolution, how to deal with certain situations and circumstances. It doesn't always need to be, oh, I'm about to get angry and be violent. Sometimes it's best to just, hey, you got it, boss. I'm just gonna politely go the other way. You know, I'm gonna go on about my business, right? Man, such a tragic situation. But shout out to Charleston White, on point once again. But y'all let me know your thoughts, your opinions on this. Obviously, like I said, I think Tim Pool is wrong, but it's his opinion. It's his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. He's allowed to have his own personal opinion on things. We aren't always going to agree on everything, and that's completely fine. So I don't think Tim Pool should be receiving any backlash. As far as I know, if that's all, you know, he said was just that, hey, he disagrees with the whole narrative that Carmelo wasn't, the whole situation wasn't self-defense. I don't see anything wrong with that. Maybe he says some other crazy stuff. I don't know. But this is what I heard. So based off of that, I don't see anything wrong with his personal opinion. It's his opinion. I disagree, but it's his opinion. That's just my thoughts on it. Y'all, let me know yours. Peace and love. I'm out.